Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Hey, everybody out there in podcast land. Oh, man, I got a cold. I'm getting over a cold. I got a cold in my nose. Anyways, today we're talking with, now I'm also hopped up on cold medicine too. So bear with me. The unedited version of the introduction. This is an interview with the guys from ScaleTrains.com at Springfield Train Show in Springfield, Massachusetts, where it's 9.1 acres and 4 buildings and 25,000 people and 18 bazillion square feet of nothing but model railroading. So in this particular, there's 3 separate interviews. First, we interview Paul Ellis, who is the executive guy in charge of product development management. He's the product development manager. He's a cool guy. We've talked to him before. And then, so if you want to get something done, if you want Scale Trains to do a boxcar from the Bangor and Aroostook in 1936, he's the guy to talk to. And then we have Todd Arnett, who is a really cool guy. He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he doesn't work for Scale Trains. He became friends with Shane Wilson, the president of Scale Trains, and he has connections. He had connections and some photos when they were working on their SD 40-2s or something else. And anyways, him and Shane became friends. Now they hang out, and he always goes to the shows and works in the booth. And he's a member of the Norfolk and Western Historical Society. And by the way, Todd, I've got my room booked for the convention coming up. There's a really cool, Todd invited me to the Norfolk and Western Historical Society convention in Spencer, North Carolina at the North Carolina Transportation Museum. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's in May. I think I'm getting there on May 17th. Stay until Sunday. So Todd, be ready. Be ready, buddy. Oh, and also Todd is close friends with Todd Gordon, who is the crew chief for the Joey Logano NASCAR team, which is owned by Roger Penske. So I had asked Todd if he could somehow maybe wrangle me an opportunity to try to qualify for the Daytona 500 through his connections. And I've given it some thought, and I'm thinking that might have been kind of a lofty goal. So Todd, now I'm thinking if you could get me a chance to qualify for the Firecracker 400, which is the second race in Daytona on the July 4th weekend, that would be awesome. I would really, really appreciate that. And finally, we talked to Shane Wilson, the president and CEO and chief cook and bottle washer, the guy that's in charge at ScaleTrains.com. I've relayed the story a couple of times, probably a dozen times, about how when I first met Shane, it was the last weekend that he worked for Athearn Hobbies, and we went out to dinner with a couple other guys, and I said, so what are you going to do? And he goes, I can't tell you. And I said, well, but he says, we're moving. And I said, where are you moving to? He says, I can't tell you. Anyways, that's when they started their own company. It's called ScaleTrains.com. And they're always easy guys to talk to. So these are the 3 interviews from Springfield at the ScaleTrains.com booth. Subway chime. Go. All right. So now we've entered the ScaleTrains.com booth.
Yep.
And we're here with Paul Ellis.
Yet again.
Again, we interviewed you in Chicago.
Yep, at the RPM meet, yeah.
And how'd that go?
It was fun. I'm an RPM guy, modeler, so those meets are always a good time for me.
Right, yeah, but how'd the interview go?
Oh, it went great. I think, despite the interviewer, I think it went pretty well.
The company's still in business and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what's new here at ScaleTrains.com?
That horn.
Yeah, that was me. Excuse me.
Oh no, things are going good here at the Better Living Center here at the Amherst Society Show. Really great crowd as always. A lot of folks here at space number 34 in the Better Living Center.
What space are we at?
Number 34.
Number 30. Where's the number? Oh yeah, there it is. 34. 34. We're at 34.
Yep. Space 34, a nice prime location. We've
Yeah.
got our full booth set up, showing off all the current products as well as future products.
Carpet. There's carpet.
We got carpet, we got lights, electricity, we got everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then so we got the SD40-2s. That's our latest announcement, an HO scale, new run of those. And an N scale, we just announced the Gunderson 51 to 88 cubic foot covered hopper, an N.
And what is this, the C, what is the...
The C39-8, that's the humpback of Erie, some folks call it. That's the mid-'80s GE locomotive. It was kind of a transitional between the Dash 7 line and Dash 8s. I mean, it had some Dash 7 features like the rounded cab roof.
Right.
But it had some Dash 8 features like that big hump behind the cab for the dynamic brake compartment. So only Conrail and Norfolk Southern were the original owners. They bought some, like roughly, I think the first one was built in about 84, 85, I want to say off the top of my head. And they operated up until fairly recently, maybe within the past decade, before they were finally retired.
Okay. And you actually, this is where you released them, wasn't it? Or where was the official announcement of those?
We announced those at
Train Fest.
Yeah,
No.
so yeah, I think it was Train. I want to say was it Train Fest last year? I think so. Yeah, I think it was Train Fest.
Okay. And yeah, Shane, I interviewed Shane also at RPM meeting. Neither you nor him would tell me about those. Did you feel concerned that I couldn't hold the secret or something?
No, we just.
No, come on, you can tell everybody.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to model those? How did scaletrains.com, like what is the process where you guys go, yeah, let's model that locomotive?
A dartboard, bottle of whiskey.
You're right.
Some drunken arguments, but
Yes.
Typically though we'll sit and we'll have meetings. We'll discuss things as far as looking at what's on the market currently. Either hasn't been done or hasn't been done very well, and also in the C39-8's case, it's never been done before in plastic. It's been done in brass, but never in plastic. And we figured, okay, it's got Norfolk Southern Conrail, two roads with good followings. We think it would be a good model to do. We think it'll sell pretty well, and so from there we decided, okay, let's go for it. Let's add it to the list of things to do, and let's make it happen.
Okay, so when you're picking out a new product, like a locomotive, is it the railroad following? Is that a big part of it? Like we have a lot of Conrail modelers, a lot of Norfolk Southern modelers. Yeah,
you definitely want to make sure you're picking a prototype that's going to sell. Norfolk Southern, Conrail, both pretty popular railroads. And the C39 has actually got a bit of a national appeal to it since they got around. I live in Southern California, born and raised Southern California, and we used to see the C39s for both NS and Conrail come out into California on the Southern Pacific and Santa Fe as run-through power. So guys modeling almost any railroad back in the 90s up until a few years ago can possibly use the C39.
So that locomotive hasn't even been modeled before, has it?
Not in plastic. Never in plastic. They've been done as brass imports, as far as I know, but never in plastic.
Okay.
So.
And how long? What's the process? How long did it take from conception to production?
Typically, from when we make the decision to go till where it's finally able to have it on the hobby shop shelf, looking around. Probably around 18, 24 months at the most, typically.
Yeah.
Almost up a couple years, depending on how long the development process takes, and other little factors. Luckily for us, there are two C39s still in existence that we are aware of. They belong to the Pennsylvania Northeastern Railroad up in Pennsylvania. And luckily, we were able to get permission from the railroad to go onto their property, and we were able to measure and photograph the units to document them.
And how hard is it to do that, to get permission from the railroad? So there's two C39s still out there. Wow.
And as far as the process goes, you have to talk to the right people. Typically, smaller railroads, like short lines, like the Pennsylvania Northeastern, they're pretty friendly if you talk to the right people.
Right.
Sometimes the Class 1s, it can vary. But we've been fortunate that all the rails we've worked with, like Pennsylvania Northeastern, Norfolk Southern, they've been really good to us and really helpful with us as far as providing documentation and permission to come onto the property to photograph and measure and document things.
Okay. So what's happening in Paul Ellis's world?
Not a whole lot, just the same old thing, different day.
Where you live in California? Whereabouts? What city?
I don't want to say the city, but I'll just say it's Southern California. Not
Why, is it a bad city?
No, it's a nice city. I just don't want people knocking on my front door looking talk about trains.
Is that actually a possibility?
You'd be surprised.
Okay, give me a story. Can you give me a story like that? You don't have to
really.
no names, just generalizations. It's a Thursday night and you're sitting at home in your underwear working on the next scaletrains.com project, and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door.
never had that as yet, but people say, hey, you live over in this so-and-so, I want to hang out or something. I'm like, no.
Okay. So are you not telling us where you live because you don't want me hanging out with you?
Yeah, definitely. No, you and I can hang out. We can grab some beers or hang out.
Okay.
You're cool, Lionel. So.
All right. Okay. All right. So, all right. What about modeling in your world? What are you doing? Are you working on anything other than scaletrains.com stuff?
With the show schedule lately, I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on my own projects. I do have a bunch of lumber flat cars from a competing company that I'm working on for my own fleet for Southern Pacific. Some Model SP. Trying to get lumber loads working on lumber loads from them, and also from Cannon and Company, the good folks over there. Right. Dave Hussey, give a shout out to him. A few things here and there. Not much new locomotive wise. We've just been so busy, but freight car wise, I've been doing little modeling here and there as far as weathering and a few little things here and there.
Okay, so when will we hear the next product announcement from scaletrains.com?
Tentatively, the next locomotive will probably be at the Anna Marie Nationals in July, I think.
Okay. Do you think I can get Shane to tell me ahead of time on that one?
You can try.
I'm going to tell him I know about it. I'll just make something up.
Yeah. But no, we have definitely another freight car and a new locomotive coming later this year.
All right. And what's the deal with Todd Arnett? He works with you guys. He's a Norfolk Southern guy. Yeah. What's his deal?
He's an NS guy. We don't hold that against him. But Todd's
tall. He's awfully tall.
It comes in handy on the booth, reaching the lights and stuff. I'm this short, stubby thing here, and I can't reach these lights.
Oh, okay. So you bring him in to install the light.
Yeah, lighting, the high brackets and stuff. Yeah, he comes in handy for that.
Let's talk about the display. The display is cool. Who designed that?
We got this from a company that actually builds display booths, displays for trade shows.
Right. Don't bust nothing. Oh no! Right now, Paul has knocked down his sign. Yeah. He's trying to put it back up.
Yeah, I got killed with my big old bear paw hands here. Okay. Yeah. But now it's I forgot the name of the company, but when we first started up, Shane found the outfit that produces the displays for trade shows. And we kind of built up our own custom design here.
Right.
And it comes in all it's like a big giant erector set.
Yeah.
And now we have a big.
How long does it take you? It's all steel looking. It's all steel.
It's all aluminum tubing pretty much. It's all pretty lightweight. Typically with a crew of 3 to 4 of us, probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, more or less.
All right, so it's all this aluminum tubing and then the signs and the whole bit. Yep. It's all very swanky.
Yeah, it's all swanky. It looks all high tech.
All right, that's it. All right, so what are you going to go do now? Are you going to work? Will you just stay in the booth the whole time, or will you go around the show at some point?
This show is so busy. I don't have much time. I may go try to sneak over to see some of the guys that some of the friendly competitors like Tangent Scale Models.
Right.
Dave, nice guy. I always like talking to him, and some of the other guys that are here at the show. But typically, we're so busy, we're just kind of stuck in our booth the whole day. Aside from restroom breaks and maybe get something to eat, that's about it.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Tangent Scale Models and say that the scale train guy doesn't think much of them.
Wow.
No, I won't. Come on.
Well, Dave will
Come on, I'm kidding. For crying out loud. All right, that's it. We're done. What's your parting words What's your parting words about scaletrains.com?
Innovative scale trains. We've got a lot of neat stuff.
We got a lot of neat stuff. High quality.
High quality. A lot of neat stuff. That's high quality stuff. We have a lot more coming. A lot in the pipeline. That's pretty exciting. So. And
then your favorite thing is that you've gotten to be interviewed by me twice now.
Twice, and do I get like a pin or something like that for?
Yeah, there should be. There should be a pin.
Yeah, the Lionel.
Yeah, why don't you guys design a pin and?
Oh, we get to make it.
Yeah. That's it.
All right.
Get out of here. Okay. Now I'm here with Todd Arnett from Charlotte, North Carolina. And you got to hold the mic up a little closer. Perfect. And we're in the scaletrains.com booth. Mm-hmm. And I was just interviewing Paul Ellis, and he didn't have a lot to say about you.
Of course.
Now, you've been interviewed on Modeler's Life. You had your own interview and everything. Has your life changed any since then?
I've had a few people approach me after they saw my name tag, say, at Train Fest in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah?
And
oh, really?
Had some good
comments.
comments.
Actually people listening?
Yeah, in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin.
So had some good conversations. They liked the interview, liked the questions, and I guess they liked my involvement with Shane and all the guys.
Okay, that's cool. So what are you doing this week, and why are you here? Because you're not an employee of scaletrains.com because you're an engineer, right?
Yeah, design engineer.
Design engineer that designs toilets. plumbing systems for
There you
hospitals.
go.
I remember.
There you go.
And more importantly, Todd Gordon, the crew chief of Joey Logano's number 22 NASCAR team.
Yes, he is. We're friends with the family. Our daughters are good friends. So
So are you really good friends? So, like, if I showed up at your backyard and Todd was there, you'd be like, "Hey, Todd, this is a friend of mine."
yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I don't see Todd a whole lot anymore with his
No.
race schedule and all. You know how busy that is.
Okay.
And,
Well, let me tell you this story. Tony Cook, who is now on the podcast, and he's the editor of Model Railroad News, which is something you guys would deal with quite a bit.
correct.
And we were talking one night. I was saying about Menards and how much they're involved in model. They have that big model railroading stuff that they sell,
Right.
primarily O scale.
Mm-hmm.
And he offhandedly said that I said, boy, that'd be a cool guy to interview. Is John Menard,
Sure.
right? And then he said, well, I kind of know John Menard. And I said, you do? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, what about this? I said, what do you think the chances are of getting John Menard to let me take out one of his Indy cars? And he said, well, he could work on it. And I said, maybe just let me try to qualify for the Indy 500. So where I'm going with this is, Todd Gordon so well, Penske Racing Team, maybe you can get them to let me try to qualify for the Daytona 500 or even the Coke 0400, not quite as big a race.
Well, I couldn't even get Todd to take me up on a bet when Ohio State and Clemson played last year. The bet was if Clemson won, I would wear a Clemson shirt to work every day without washing it. If Ohio State won, he would have to wear an Ohio State hat during the Daytona 500.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing.
Right.
And he is so limited
to what he can do.
to what he can wear. So I think you driving a car or qualifying a car is probably out of the question.
Okay.
No offense to your driving abilities, but you see how it is.
Yeah. So you're not even gonna float the idea then.
I haven't even floated the idea for myself because I know what the answer will be.
So all right. So what are we doing here at Scale Trains? You're not an actual employee.
Nope.
But you come and you help them considerably, primarily on the Norfolk Southern side.
Yes, and the N&W. Mm-hmm.
And the N&W. So what's happening right now with Scale Trains and Norfolk Southern?
Well, the latest release in the Norfolk Southern side is the C39-8s, which were announced back at TrainFest in November.
Right.
I had, a decent part in that as far as acquiring some drawings from NS, the N&W Historical Society archives, and I believe GE provided Shane with some drawings on the different phases. That's the biggest on the NS side.
And so remind folks, how did you get involved with the fact that you have availability to Norfolk Southern?
I've had family members that work for the railroad. I went to high school with a guy whom I'm good friends with that's still with NS after 25 years. Wick Mormon, sending emails to Wick Mormon, and just constant communication. And eventually, I didn't have any resistance as far as help from these folks.
Right.
It's just you develop the relationships, and they know what you're doing, and you represent their company and their image well, and they're more willing to help you out. And that's my asset to this company.
So it's kind of like how you and I are becoming close personal friends.
Absolutely.
Through the podcast.
Absolutely.
So now tell me also, you have invited me to come to the Norfolk Southern Historical Society at Spencer, North Carolina. Is that correct?
Yes, it's the Norfolk and Western Historical Society.
I am seriously considering doing that. So what
Well, I hope
all
you
is that
do.
about?
Well, it's obviously our annual convention where we have a meeting for the members. This year, this is kind of something different for the society because they typically go to places that were on the original N&W.
Okay.
Those places are vanishing. We wanted to enhance our convention, bring in more people, so Spencer was an ideal place.
Right.
It's close to my home. I know many people there at the museum.
Right.
We have, a lot of equipment there that pertains to the N&W of the present, and also the Southern Railway Historical Association, the ACL, SAL, and the original Norfolk Southern groups are joining us for our convention.
Wow.
And obviously there's equipment representing those societies on the grounds at the museum.
Wow.
So it's going to be a joint venture where everyone can bring their society items for sale. Shane and Scale Trains will be joining us, and other manufacturers that I need to go talk to here this weekend and get confirmation. So it's going to be a much bigger event than what most folks are
It actually sounds pretty cool. I got to tell you, I'm well on my way to committing to coming. I think it'd be cool.
Well, I will send you the tentative schedule when I get back to the hotel.
All right. Okay, that would be cool. Because you were talking about a lady named Stacy
Mansfield.
She'll be there?
Yes. Norfolk Southern will be there exhibiting along with the Norfolk Southern Archives, and that is headed up by Jennifer McDade. So they will have historic facts from Norfolk Southern and its predecessors on display and answering questions.
So how did you become so involved with Norfolk Southern? What is the history behind that?
Actually, it began with when Shane was at Athern, and I think they were wanting to do an NS project, and he just contacted me via Facebook. We had exchanged a few pleasantries on Facebook, and that's when I caught Wick Mormon I believe it was at the Heritage event, and of course, I had to coordinate a few minutes through Stacy Mansfield because she escorted Wick and the CEOs and the important people around, and got to know her, and she gave me a couple minutes, and that's where I started just talking to Wick. So basically, it's just going up and asking people questions, and if they say no, that's how it goes. But typically, if you act like you know what you're doing and speak properly,
and you're polite and respectful.
Yeah, and plus I let him know that I own a few shares of Norfolk Southern, so they can't tell you no just right yet. So that always helps.
So now you are ScaleTrains.com's Norfolk Southern expert.
Well, I wouldn't say that. There's other people that are involved on the NS side too.
Okay.
I can't tell you. If you ask me about a particular piece of equipment, I can't tell you off the top of my head. I have to look at drawings and data.
Sure.
I don't retain it, but there are guys that are associated that know that stuff frontwards and backwards.
Okay, so let's change topics a little bit. And you come fairly regular, like you go to the NMRA National Train Show.
Mostly.
You come to this one. Are there any other train shows you go with Scale Trains?
When invited, if they need help.
Okay.
Like if like Paul or Joe or any of the guys need to stay back and work on a particular project, Shane will invite me to come up and fill the place because it's more economical for those guys to stay and finish a project. And I like coming up here, talking to people. And
so when did you get here?
I got here yesterday at about 4:30.
After they set everything up?
Yeah, perfect. Of course, I did have to work yesterday, so.
So did you fly up? Drive
up? I flew up.
So you flew from Charlotte to
Hartford.
Okay, right into Hartford. So you're not that far away from the show at all.
Nope.
Rent a car and you're here.
Yep. Shane rented the car. He just picked me up, so I've got it made.
Oh, you got it made in the shade.
Yeah.
So Paul said the only reason you were here is because Paul Ellis, who works. What does Paul Ellis do exactly?
He is product development.
Product development. Okay. So he said the only reason you're here is to help him hang the lights because you're taller than anybody else.
Well, he wouldn't be the first one to use me for my height.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Oh, well, that's not that tall. It's just like average tall.
Well, yeah, depending on who you are.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm the smallest in my family.
Are you really?
Of the men, yeah.
Wow. How many, brothers and sisters?
Well, I'm speaking of my dad and my uncles. My dad was 6'6", and my uncle was about 6'4", but he was much broader.
Right.
A drill sergeant build.
Right, and I think we talked about you had a sparkling basketball career with the Charlotte Hornets.
That's a negative. I couldn't play basketball if I was forced to.
And all your life, people have said, so you play basketball?
Yeah, I've heard that all my life. That's why I don't play basketball anymore. So
okay, so you get here, and what exactly is your job today in the booth?
Just meet and greet people, answer questions, keep the catalogs full, keep pins out, and just keep the gears turning, basically.
Oh, yeah, I was interviewing a young fella, Greg, from Louisiana a little bit ago. He's a first time to the show. He got some sort of a pin.
Yeah, we've got writing pins and hat pins.
Oh,
so we hand those out, and I will even sneak you a couple, Lionel.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
All you have to do is ask. You don't have to go through the whole motions.
And it's all right. So you're staying around, you're answering questions. Typically, what kind of questions will people ask you?
Basically, product arrival dates.
Okay.
They want to know when things are actually going to be at the shop for delivery. Of course, I rely on that information from Shane and Paul
Right.
and the guys to kind of fill me in before we get here. And their estimates, you know how it goes, boats on the water and all that stuff. Other questions that people just ask, I've had a lot of people ask me about where did we come from? They've never heard of us. Even
Yeah,
after
is that
2.5
still
years.
going on? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to explain the history of the company and where Shane, Mike, Joe, and Paul come from
Right,
and their
yeah.
experience. And then they asked, what am I? I said, I'm just here for the heck of it.
Okay, so you're a lifelong model railroader like me.
Yes.
A lot of experience. You got a lot of experience now because you're involved with Shane, and you're involved with him in Athearn, but you're heavily involved with this.
Yes.
What's happening in the hobby? Is it growing? Is it changing? What have you seen?
I think it's changing in the regards of details and operational quality of models. I think when one person raises the bar, everyone else eventually follows.
Yeah.
That keeps prices under control. That's competition for the market, and it gives people a choice. Also, too, I think the hobby is growing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all this here. You wouldn't have new companies coming in.
It seems to me that it's growing like crazy.
Yeah. It's
I think that I don't think people are even aware of what's happened. Since I started doing this podcast, which was strictly for fun. I mean, the number of people I've met and the list of people I have to talk to is somewhere in the 42,000s. You know,
I believe it.
It's massive.
I believe it.
It's massive. And the problem is, you get, you get used to talking to CLTrain.com guys, and then somebody will come up, hey, you never talk to us. And I'm like, oh, okay, and you go over there, and it's like, I've been in the hobby from everything. We're heavily involved with Model Railroader to this, and it's like, I'm kind of shaking my head going, when did this happen?
Yeah, it's I think it's product availability and the details and some of the models that people have wanted for years and years that were only available in brass are now we're starting to see them in plastic.
That's a good point.
So it's a good time to jump in.
So what are you gonna buy anything at the show? If you get a chance to walk around the show, are you looking for anything?
Hopefully I'll get a chance to walk around and take a peek at things. I'm not in the market for anything right now unless there's something I see that just catches my eye.
Okay.
So I got enough.
So where are you guys going for dinner tonight?
I have no idea. I'm trying to make it to dinner.
Yeah, I know. Do you think I can get Shane to buy me dinner?
Yeah.
Perfect.
He's only 5'2". I think we can take him.
All right. Well, that's it. Oh, I know. I got a question for you.
Shoot.
This is a hard-hitting question. This is a good question for people out there. This is an excellent question. You were a Patreon subscriber.
Uh-huh.
And now you're not.
Uh-huh.
How come?
Because my card number got stolen, and I got a new number, and I have to go back and redo it.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody stole it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Somehow.
I didn't offend you somehow?
No, you did not.
Oh, okay. That's good.
The guy that offended me is the one that got my credit card number and charged stuff to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
all right,
I got to get back to it. Sorry.
All right. No, don't be sorry. I was just wondering because I'm interested in finding out, where everybody's at. Because it's so cool. The whole podcasting thing is so cool. And the Patreon thing and everything is so cool. I just was going to ask you. I thought, you know what? We'll do the hard-hitting questions.
Well, good. That's good. I'm glad you did. And I got your picture of you in your shorts and sexy beast.
I couldn't believe how many people actually wanted that picture.
It's in a proper place.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Under the layout. Good. In a dark spot. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Todd. And I really do think I want to do that. It's kind of stuck in, how things will stick in your head going,
yeah,
I should do that.
You going to ride your motorcycle down or bring it down on a trailer? Be good weather.
I don't know. I'm thinking it'll be when I'm in transit between Florida and Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not that far. Because 77 that comes into... Oh, I know what I'm going to ask you. Completely off topic. This is for my wife now.
Okay.
This is strictly for my wife.
Okay.
This question, everybody that's listening, this might be interesting. You might want to turn off your podcast medium, however you do it. This question is strictly for my wife. We drive back and forth to Florida.
Uh-huh.
I try to get her to fly
Uh-huh.
because whenever we get to Charlotte, especially on the north side, on 77, is it, we're coming down?
Right.
She's about ready to pull her hair out with all the construction.
Yeah, it won't be done for about another year and a half. That's widening the lanes and putting in toll lanes.
Like, are they doing it with shovels or something? Like, could they move slower?
That is one of the biggest controversial topics in Charlotte, has been for 2 years and will be for time to come.
I know.
And it won't be done for about another year and a half.
I have gone through that traffic jam so many times now that I know where to lane hop.
Yeah, it's awful. And I-85 in between, North Charlotte and China Grove, North Carolina, is a mess too. They're doing the same thing. It's not as bad, but it's still
and
cumbersome.
Coming down from Mooresville, I'm thinking every time I'm sitting in this traffic, the NASCAR guys must be. I'm thinking I got to be sitting beside. It's got to be sitting beside Kurt Busch or something.
You could be, but that traffic coming down from Mooresville, what's holding it up is that the interstate goes across Lake Norman, and people slow down to look at water.
Yeah.
And boats.
I know.
And it's just, it puts gray hair on my head and makes me cuss.
I threw my hands up in the air, and the last time I came down, I drove through at midnight.
Yeah.
I said, I can't take it anymore.
That's the way to do it.
All right, that's it. Now we'll stop talking. That was for my wife.
Thanks.
Say hi to Ann.
Hi, Ann.
There you go.
Bye, Ann.
Bye. So just hold it about here. Yeah, right there. So things have progressed, Shane. We're now here with Shane Wilson, the president and CEO, and the chief guy, the big guy.
Chief cook and bottle washer.
The man in charge, chief cook and bottle washer. The guy that goes, the roof is leaking, and they look at you and you go fix it.
Well, just a couple weeks ago was, hey, the pipes are frozen, the bathroom's not working. So,
and you're waiting for the day I'm the president. Don't I have a guy?
I'm like, where is that guy? Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah, exactly. So now, I think this is the third time I've interviewed you.
Probably third or fourth, yeah.
I think so. And the first time I was using fairly primitive equipment, and the next time was using this Zoom H5, but I only had one mic. So I had to kind of go back and forth. And now we each have our own mic.
Man, life must be good, Lionel. You're living large now.
Exactly. And I think it's all because of these scaletraining.com interviews.
That's absolutely it.
My favorite thing, I have two. I have a bone to pick with you, and I have a compliment for you.
All right, chicken bone, ham bone.
Yeah, exactly. Which would you like first, the nice part or the other part?
I'll take the turkey bone.
Okay.
The wishbone.
All right. So I interviewed you last time in Chicago at the RPM meet.
Right.
Which was very, very, Joe Fugate also has the same tendencies. He's very forthcoming with the information, which helps the hobby. But I found out later after Chicago that you were announcing C39 in Train Fest.
I have Train Fest, right?
And you didn't want to even tell me off camera. Do you have so little faith in me that I couldn't keep it a secret?
Lionel, we all know how you love to talk.
Yeah, that's true. That's an excellent answer. That's a good answer. Okay, you win. And my compliment is, last time when we talked, you were willing to tell us how many of the GEVO units you made. Mm-hmm. And that was very popular.
Absolutely, it was very popular.
No, but I mean, the fact that you were willing to come forth with that information was very popular with the fans, and they were like the fact that, I had a couple of emails where one guy went, it's time, it's great that a manufacturer like this would give out this information. He said expose this information, which I thought.
Don't expose me. That'd be your viewership would go way down.
Yeah, I just had a bad vision in my head, and I'm trying to get it out. But, they were thrilled that you were forthcoming.
Well, the one thing about this is I think it's important that we share who we are as a company, because there's a lot of folks who think we sell tens of thousands of locomotives and we're making millions of dollars on every release. And I mean, unfortunately, it'd be awesome if it was true, but it just isn't. And when you look at the numbers that we do, the margins are slim.
Right.
And, folks look at the cost of goods, but there's so much that goes into that item. Yeah. From the research phase, from the documentation. I was just giving a guy a hard time a little bit ago. Paul introduced me to a gentleman who helped us with Conrail hoppers after we'd made the announcement, and it cost like $10,000 to go back and redo some of the artwork for that. So, those things, that really impacts your margins. So, it's a great business, but the old adage, the quickest way to a small fortune is to start with a big one. We proved that.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're doing all right.
Yeah, we're doing fine.
I mean, I don't mean monetarily wise, but the design of the company and what you wanted to do seems to be working.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you a question. I'll interview the interviewer.
Okay.
So we just announced a new model today.
Yeah. Yes.
How many all new models have we announced in just over 2 years?
I'm going to go around 12.
12. 36.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I saw that number this morning. I'm like, that's what I said.
Well, you know what? Tony Cook, editor of Model Railroad News, now is on a part of the podcast quite a bit. And he does this show called Product News. And actually, as the doors opened, we released he does like a 10 or 15 minute product news thing. And one of the things he was announcing was your locomotive, the stuff you announced today.
We appreciate that, too, very much.
I know you do. And it's a cool thing. But that was actually one of the subjects him and I talked about. And you would be very informed on this. Like Tony Cook's a good guy.
Great guy.
Very, very good at his job.
He's as awesome as you are, Lionel.
I think it's a higher bar for him. I think, there's not much there. There's not much here. It's me standing with an electronic thing going, I'll talk. Yeah, well, there you go. But he was very knowledgeable about the hobby. And the thing he talks about is how many products are being released. Like he said it perfectly. He said, in the 80s, Athearn would release something every 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now Athearn's releasing something every 6 hours or 6 days. It's like constant. And you guys have done 36 products in 2 years.
Yep.
Like, isn't that almost that must be very difficult to do, is it not?
Oh, it's been an unbelievable challenge, especially when you consider the size of our team up to this point. But the great news is we just hired late last year. We hired another full-time artist to help Joe, so we can produce more art. That's what you see on the side of a locomotive or a freight car. We hired another part-time product developer. We just hired a full-time marketing manager.
Right.
So the great news there is we're able to spread more of that responsibility. It's been crazy this week. We had a container come in last Friday. And all week this week, I literally haven't been to bed before 1, getting ready for the show, and it's going to be a blessing to be able to help spread some of that workout. Here in the near future.
Yeah, and was it a 20-footer or a 40-footer that came in container?
20 foot.
Full?
Oh yeah, it was totally full.
So that's got to be pretty satisfying.
Oh, it's really great when and this was tough. We had a challenge this past fall because. Well, we thought we were hitting our stride. Right. Back in September, we landed the Tier 4 Gevos. In October, we landed the Carbon Blacks.
Right.
And the next run of tank cars. And then then we got stuff lined up all through the fourth quarter into this year. And we had a container supposed to leave the 15th of October, and we're messaging the factory going, we know we got to book this. I mean, what's going on? Finally, on the 17th of October, they send us an email and say, well, that shipment you were supposed to have leave 2 days ago, we molded the wrong body on about a quarter of the shipment, so you're now not going to get that until Christmas time. It's going to ship. And then they're like, oh, and some more good news. The load of SC40-2s that were supposed to leave in 4 weeks are now going to leave in 8 weeks.
Wow.
And so that was a real challenge. But, the great news is now we've got SC40-2, that 20-foot container came in. We have about a 40-foot inbound right now with the Gundersons.
Oh, yeah?
The Gundersons and the in-scale Carbon Blacks. And then right after Chinese New Year, probably March, April, we'll see the in-scale Tier 4s. And then May, we get boxcars. And then starting in June, we are rocking and rolling all the way through Chinese New Year next year. So we'll land at least a 20 to a 40 every month.
20 or 40 every month?
Yeah.
Wow. It must be almost staggering to think where you started from.
Oh, it's unbelievable when we look back. We're about a year behind on our product plan right now, but
really?
Thankfully we're right at where we want to be on our revenue plan. That's the good news. But yeah, it's amazing to me, very humbling actually. I like to walk out in the warehouse. In that first 6 months we were in business, it was my wife and I.
Right.
First 6 months we were shipping. We put out between the two of us 10,000 boxes through the warehouse. And still ran the business and still worked with the product development team in California, and it was daunting. And then we hired a Bruce, who I think you may have met at Nationals.
Right.
He's doing operations for us. Thank God. This shipment, I didn't pick one order. I didn't pack one box. I didn't.
Oh man,
what a blessing that is. But to be able to walk out in the warehouse and see this well-oiled machine that Bruce has created, and my wife's working with him to get orders out. My son's out there, and just humbling to
Yeah.
see how amazing it is to have great people and to see product flowing out the door and have blessing. We had 850 orders for pre-orders for the SV40-2s in the first 2-3 days. I mean, 450 of those got paid.
Wow.
We're up to probably 550, 600 now. They're literally caught up shipping orders this week. It's unbelievable to me that between Bruce and my wife, they can do that. And so, yeah, it's amazing. It really is to be able to see that happen.
Yeah, yeah. And so can I ask you how many SD40-2s you made?
You can. I'm a little foggy on it. It's somewhere in the, I think it was about 3,000 to 4,000 range.
It must be hard to figure out how many to make.
It is. It's one of those interesting things. So the second run of SD40-2s, I was actually pretty disappointed in the numbers, the pre-order numbers. And I think it's because people were taking a wait-and-see attitude. We hadn't delivered the first run yet. We delivered the first run, and all the extras we ordered on the second run within like a couple of weeks were just gone, and it was too late to go back and get more. So I think that number was a little lower than what we would have liked, but the big key for us now is it is pre-orders, and we do order extra. But the question is, how do you know how much is enough but not too much?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've got a magic 8 ball and a crystal ball and little sorcery.
I bet you people would like me to ask you about pre-orders, because I know that's something that's new to this era of model railroading.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-orders,
right?
The manufacturers all want pre-orders, and you hear people say they all want the money, they all want pre-orders, they want some money, and we don't even have product. And it's like that's changed from the 80s and the 90s and the 70s, where the product went on the shelf and then you went and bought it.
Well, for us, pre-orders, a couple of things. One, we don't require payment up front. You don't pay for it until it comes in.
So that's not all the companies are the same then.
Right. For us, when we make an announcement, like here at the show, we announced the N-Scale Gunderson covered hopper.
Right.
There's models over there that you can go and see and touch
Right.
and feel. We just announced the third run of SD40-2s. 5 road names. There's 14 different models sitting out here from that run.
Yeah.
Because we know how important we're modelers ourselves, and there's nothing more frustrating than someone saying, "Here's a prototype photo. Place your order." It's like, what? I mean, what's it going to look like? How's it going to work?
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to do that, and we think that helps our numbers. The big thing is,
so all your pre-orders are based on an existing model.
Yeah, on a model in the lineup.
Right.
So, for us, it's really important because, and I'll be frankly honest, when we first started, we bought the first 2 runs of boxcars, tank cars, and containers on speculation.
Right.
The guy that ordered them, what an idiot! He had no idea what he was doing. That was me.
Yeah.
Totally over-ordered. I mean, to the point where, there's still 3,000 or 4,000 containers in the warehouse.
Right.
And you can't do that. I mean, it just eats up the money that you've got to do other things. So, we understand pre-orders can be frustrating. The good news is you pre-order with us, and we set a window, like on the new stuff we announced today, we're saying order by February 26th. You're going to get it. You will get your product from us. And if we ever fall short on that, we will do one of 2 things. We'll go out and we'll find it at retail, and we'll still sell it to you at our price. Or, you know what, we'll do another run, and we'll make sure that you get it, because we know how important that is. But we've never dropped that ball as long as people get in that window. It's tough when you get beyond that window, because the systems that we have, anybody has, to regulate pre-orders, to like stop when it hits a certain number, that's all manual. So you have to watch all that information. We just committed. We had our strategic planning in December, and we're going to make a multi-6-figure investment in a brand new web platform over the next about 18 months.
Brand new what platform?
Website platform.
Oh, okay.
Totally custom built for our industry, ground up. It'll be a groundbreaking website, and we have to. I mean, somebody told me this morning, man, your website looks great, and it does. I got to give Joe and the team a lot of credit for what they do, but the back end and the way it functions is so archaic, and there's just not off-the-shelf websites that you can go out and say, hey, let's do pre-orders, and because it just doesn't work.
Well, a friend of mine, Tim Warris, who owns Fast Tracks, very successful company, and he's a lot like you. He's a guy that, I mean, he's very mechanically inclined and came up with a Fast Tracks idea himself.
Right.
But I mean, he redid his website, and he spent tens of thousands of dollars to hire a guy to get a good website, because he's got a lot of product to sell.
Yeah, and as an e-commerce company, you got to have a great website.
Yeah. And is e-commerce now your main source of income?
For us, about 60 to 70% is direct from us. Depends
Right.
on the release, about 30 to 40% through retailers.
So that's got to be, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's got to be an experience that's completely new to you from leaving Athern.
It is and it isn't. I owned my own hobby store for a few years when I was young, so I
Right.
had that direct-to-customer experience.
Right.
I've done a lot of trade shows too, but it is, but it isn't. You know, as a manufacturer, especially we talk about investing in 36 different models, it requires a lot of capital.
Yeah.
And you need profit margin. And you know, some retailers do a really good job at carrying our message as a manufacturer, but there's a lot of retailers who open the door and just hope that somebody comes in that day and shops. And if you're going to continue to invest at the level, I mean, we're committing $1 million a year to new tooling over the next 5 years. We have to carry our message direct to the customer.
Yeah.
And hopefully some folks can ride our coattails, the retailers that we have, and it drives business to that local retailer. Our philosophy is, if you're going to buy from a local retailer, brick and mortar, buy from that guy. If you're going to buy online, buy from us. There's really, we serve that, we fill that gap.
Right.
And we believe that the local retailer is a great place to buy. And that works for some folks. And if you're an internet shopper, buy direct.
And good local retailers are not going to go away.
No, I don't think so.
No, there's good hobby shops, so you can see them almost flourishing because they're well run.
Right.
Not necessarily even location. It's just a well-run business, and people are still going to want to go to local retailers. It's just that they don't need to go to one on every corner.
Right. And that's the thing, as a retailer today, as a brick and mortar, the real key is having inventory. And that's one of the things that we've really worked with our retailers on. And it was kind of frustrating in the beginning, but when folks come on, we have some guidelines, and you know what our expectations are. And the thing is, you look at some of the products we've done, the minimum order on the first run of Tier 4s was 24 pieces.
Right.
There were some retailers that really were very frustrated with us. And it's take a leap of faith. Go out, work it. Go out and talk to your customers about taking pre-orders, and then come back to us. Well, I don't want to go out there and then you won't fill my order. It's well, look, if you work for it, we're going to take care of you. And we had folks, maybe they'd have a dozen pre-orders and they wanted to order 15, 16. It's look, I know you busted on it. I know you were talking to your customers. You were telling me how all that worked. And we worked with those folks. And then we had customers who really worked it and thought they could never sell 24. There's a dealer here at this show, Main Model Works. He came back and bought 50 or 60. I hope I'm not talking out of school on him. But the thing is, it's he went out and worked his butt off.
Yeah.
And look and he thought 24 was going to be really tough. And now his business exploded because he sees that if I bring in inventory.
Yeah. You got to have inventory.
You got to have inventory. And you got to get out there and hustle during that pre-order period. You got to get out there and tell your customers. We spend a lot of time on email, social media, print media. It's all reaching that customer. And the retailers that are successful today, they're the ones doing the same thing. They're the ones that are active and out there talking to their customer.
Yeah, yeah. So pre-order though, so I'm kind of interested in that. Pre-order, there's no money deposited.
No money deposited.
So
it's a high risk for us.
Yeah, that sounds like a high risk to me. It sounds it's I could go and pre-order because I'm not taking any risk. So how do you determine the guy that's just going, oh yeah, sure, I might want one of those, and it hits the pre-order button? And
we expect about a 5 to 10% cancellation rate.
Okay.
On our pre-orders, and then we actually really monitor. And if we've got a guy who's just he's betting the farm, he's ordering way beyond his means.
Right.
We'll chat with him. Say, we really appreciate your business. You pre-ordered $10,000 worth of product. You've taken $500.
Yeah.
This might not be the best avenue for you.
Right.
We'd love for you to be able to buy $10,000, but if 500 is your level, let's work on the $500 level because, when you're releasing that kind of product as a manufacturer, suddenly we better sell that to somebody else. It doesn't happen very often. Most folks in our industry are very prudent. Most of the modelers.
Yeah.
But there are some, and then there are times, circumstances change. People lose a job. Their financial status changes. Things happen, and we understand that, and we make adjustments, and we work with folks. And sometimes people need extended payment. We ask when a shipment comes in, we request that folks pay within 2 weeks of arrival, and we're about 30 days away from arrival. We're starting to prime the pump, saying, "Hey, it's coming. Get your wallet ready."
Yeah.
And we ask for that 2 weeks. there's things that come up. Car breaks down, somebody's got to fix their car, and they need some extra time, and we work through that with folks. We can't stretch it out for months, but if they need a few more weeks, we work that out, and it works pretty well for us. But that's, you have to know going in, you're going to lose some of those orders, and the tough part is, Mike, he'll say, Shane, well, why don't you short 5 to 10% on your order? And I'm like, well, Mike, how do I know which 5 or 10% is going to get canceled?
Yeah.
If I cancel, like the SD40-3s that just came in, if I canceled 10%, oh my goodness, they'd be out in front of the business with pitchforks and torches because we would have shorted a lot of orders. So, but it's okay. I mean, when you know going in that that's the expectation, you adjust for it.
Okay, one of the reasons I like talking to you, and I've said it before, is that you're very you're forthcoming, which is good, but you also seem so committed. And when you were talking there about working with people if they order too much and things like that, one of the things that has happened with the podcast is it's built a community that I never expected in a million years. I mean, I got the best example I can think of is I have a young guy in Kansas City, and he does installs. And he installed some sound and some speakers for a fella that he met on the podcast who lives in England.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy who lives in Florida, who knew both of those guys, he was going to England, so Shane sends him the locomotives, and this community has popped up from this podcast. People have met each other and know each other from the podcast, which is really
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's extremely gratifying.
Absolutely, it should be
extremely gratifying. But when you were talking to me about how you would talk to the customer and if he's ordered too much, it sounds like you guys, and I would hope this would never change. It sounds like you guys are trying to be very personal with your customers. Like if a guy has ordered too much stuff and you're thinking, okay, this guy's gotten carried away, you don't want to chase him away.
No,
because
absolutely.
he can only afford 2.
That's right.
You want him to you want to work with the guy. And
absolutely.
I would hope you would never lose that, because I think that you could say that's the difference between the old Athearn and the new ScaleTrains.com is some sort of connection, personal connection with the customer.
Well, that's really who we are. We don't want to be some faceless company out there. We're real people, and we want people to know we're real people, and we understand life happens. If you communicate with us, let us know what's going on. We'll work with you.
Right.
Just this week I've seen emails. One guy said, I had to put a new transmission in my car. Can you give me an extra 2 weeks?
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, sure. We're not going to let you lose something you really wanted for just over 2 weeks.
Right.
Now it's a different thing if the guy'd come back and say, I need 4 months.
Right. Or can I pay you $2 a week for the next?
Yeah, for the next 40 weeks. It's like that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But we're reasonable people, and I think that's one of the things that sets us apart, because we had a situation come up when the Tier 4s came in that a customer disagreed with the color on a locomotive.
Right.
And he was the only customer that disagreed about this color. And unfortunately, we couldn't come to a solution that worked for him. But we tried our best to find something that worked for him and worked for us. And in the end, it didn't work out, but that's okay. As hard as we try, we'll never be able to please everybody.
Right,
yeah. It's just the nature of life. But we'll do everything within our power. Whenever we fall short, we'll do everything within our power to fix it.
Okay, so we'll let everybody know, you and I, just before we started this podcast, talked about, I'm going to send you the MP3s, and you're going to put the podcast on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Put a link to Modeler's Life from there. But so now while we're doing this, and people are going to now be easily access this interview, I think it's important for people to know. You want people to know that if they have a problem, they can't, the transmission did fall out of their car or whatever, that you want them to call you. You want them to contact the company and somehow.
Yeah, if you've got something that's going on in your life, my mom passed away last year.
Right.
There's a time there where you're just out of pocket.
Yeah.
As long as folks are working with us, we'll absolutely work with them.
Yeah.
And because, we understand that we're not the only manufacturer in the market. There's other people releasing products at the same time. And the thing is, we don't want you to miss out on a great model. If there's something you really want in our line, man, we want you to have it.
Yeah.
I take, I don't know if the word's pride, but a lot of satisfaction is probably the word I'm looking for. When I walk into somebody's train room,
right,
or I'm walking around a show like this and I look on a layout and I see our stuff, man, that is the coolest compliment ever. You know, because when you first started coming, it's like, is anybody going to buy this?
Yeah.
And then to walk around a show like this, or go walk into somebody, have somebody invite you into their home, and you see your boxes sitting there, and you see your trains out in the layout. That's awesome. There's no better compliment from a modeler than having your trains in their collection.
So you want to build a scaletrains.com community.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want people to buy when they feel like when they buy from you, you want them to feel like they're buying from everybody at scaletrains.com, and they're buying from the family of scaletrains.com.
Yeah, you know, early in the business plan, I told Mike, I said, I'm going to say something really bold, and I said, I don't want this to sound conceited, but I want to walk in to any train room around the world and see our product on that layout.
Yeah.
Not because I want to sell them those trains, but I want them to have the experience of our product.
Yeah.
That's so rewarding, and that's so satisfying. That's what makes all the long hours worth it.
Yeah. You want it. You don't just want people's money. You want to give them a good product and feel like buying from scaletrains.com is as much fun. The experience of buying it is as much fun as getting the product.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we should stop there.
That works for me.
All right. See ya. Oh, what about dinner? Am I going to get invited to dinner ever again?
Yeah, you buying?
No.
Well, gosh, Lionel.
Todd seemed fairly confident that I might have a chance.
Well, I'm
but
not.
He doesn't even work for you, so he just hangs out.
He does. You know what though? Without Todd's a lifesaver. I mean,
Yeah.
he did Charlotte with us 2 weeks ago for WGH.
Okay.
He's here this weekend.
He's talking me into going into He's talking me to come into the N&W historical thing. What's that about?
So Todd is on the committee for the annual convention for the Norfolk and Western Historical Society.
Yes.
And it's going to be at the North Carolina Museum of Transportation in Spencer.
Yes.
Which is an awesome museum if you've never been there, and a really awesome guy that runs it, Marcus. Give him a little shout out. So there's the N&W, and I think the Southern and a couple of other organizations. I think maybe ACL is going to be there, and they're going to have some vendors. We're going to go. And I think maybe a few others, and then they're going to do clinics and things like that, and some special things at the museum.
Okay.
That's coming up in May.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure all the details. I know they have a banquet and a keynote, and I don't remember who the keynote is, but it'd be a lot of fun if you're in Norfolk
I
and
think
Western.
he's talking me into it.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. I think he's almost got me talked into it.
I'll tell you what. You come to that show, and there's a little place in Salisbury, North Carolina that's a barbecue joint, and they make sweet potato tater tots.
Right.
Best thing you've ever ate in your life, I'll buy.
All right. Is that where you're going to go to dinner on Saturday or Friday?
That's when we'll go to dinner.
All right. Then I'm in. Okay. Now I've got, when I had one really good thing I was going to ask you. Now I can't remember. Oh, yeah. This is funny. You got a great personality. Everybody out there that's listening needs to know Shane has a great personality. This is going to be good. You'll at the end of this, I'm going to be laughing. At least.
Oh, this is a good setup.
Yeah. So, would you be interested in sponsoring the podcast?
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Yeah, I don't want any sponsors.
Nice. Well done.
I do not need sponsors. I don't want to even go down that road. That just seems like it's going to be nothing but a friggin' headache.
You know, A Modeler's Life presented by scaletrains.com.
I'm thinking, but now it's becoming like a job. Be like, okay, how much is it going to, and I'm going to make a commercial. And so what I did was I started this thing called Patreon.
Yep.
And people can sign up and pay $5 a month and listen to extra podcasts. That seems about as far as I want to go. Because as soon as I get in sponsors involved, then I got people I'm obligated to. Then it's a job. My buddy down the road has a farm. I used to work on a 300-acre dairy farm as a teenager. Knew how to operate the machines. And one day we got talking, blah, blah, blah. And he knew of this. And his father was getting up in age. He was 82, 83, 84, and he'd have his dad out there for 10 hours during planting season because somebody had to till the field ahead of him, right? So Gord comes to me and says, one day he says, Lionel, he says, you can operate this, eh? And I said, yeah, sure. He says, would you be interested in maybe working for me for a couple of weeks? And I said, no. He said, no, but he said, I'm behind and I don't know anybody else that can operate the machines. He said, it'd just be like, he said, you own I know Barb. Barb's my secretary and runs the business. He says, I know Barb's. I said, no, I don't want a job. He says, oh. And he started to turn away. I said, I'll do it for nothing. But I said, if you pay me, then I got to show up. If I do it for nothing, then I could just have fun.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Shane. I know you really want to be a sponsor.
I'm really disappointed. My heart hurts, Lionel. I'm so sad.
Well, if I ever do it, I'll ask you again.
All right, that works.
See ya. Okay, there you have it. 3 really cool interviews from Springfield. Now I only got about another. I think now we've published about 9 or 10 of these interviews, maybe a little bit more. I think all told, I interviewed about 25 people. So we got a ways to go yet. I've created a monster. This is so cool, this stuff nowadays, what we can do. All right, enough of me talking. So we have a website, amodelerslife.com. That's amodelerslife.com. We have email if you'd like to get a hold of us with this newfangled digital technology. It's modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with 1 L, like railroad, not 2 L's like Lionel. And on our website, we have links to Facebook, our Facebook page, if you want to go there. And we have a link to our Patreon page. If you just can't get enough of us, you can go to Patreon, and for $5 a month, sign up there, and we'll get you some more stuff. There was a whole bunch more stuff over there that you haven't heard yet. So that's it. I think I covered everything. Those guys were pretty cool. They're always willing to talk to us. I'm really hoping Todd can help me with my my quest to qualify for the Firecracker 400 in Daytona. Paul Ellis was a cool guy. Hope I get that Banger and Aristute car done. And Shane Wilson, well, I know as Shane that he's all like, if I'm ever hard up, he's always willing to he'll be happy to give me a job as vice president in charge of stuff. All right, that's it. So don't forget to pick up the groceries on the way home. Say hi to the kids. Give the wife a kiss. See ya. Bye.
And the lights all went down in Massachusetts the day I left her standing on the road, trying to hitch a ride to San Francisco. Got to do the things I got to do, and the lights all went down in Massachusetts.
It's another Lincoln Homer.